Welcome Emma, who is the Employers Service Manager at CTEC Plus, and Rob from Churchill Group Services, who are an employee service worker for CTEC Plus also. Emma, could you start by telling us a little bit about the Employers Services team at CTEC Plus and how you're welcoming and helping employers to build a really strong service?
My team work really closely with local employers. The point of that really is to ascertain what employers need, how we can support that, what skills and tools we can give our participants, ultimately to help match them to vacancies like Rob's. We do that in a variety of different ways. Sector insight sessions where we encourage people to think about new sectors, employer information sessions, route ways where we would encourage sort of training for people.
And actually kind of thinking about those, why do you think it's important to encourage employers to be as inclusive as possible during the recruitment process?
There's a huge talent pool out there, a massive talent pool that just isn't tapped into enough. When we talk about inclusivity, we talk about offering opportunities to all aspects of the workforce out there, a mirror of our population. It's absolutely vital that we do that. If we have inclusive recruitment processes, we have inclusive cultures. If we have an inclusive culture, the benefits of the business are huge. We're talking about employee engagement, retention of staff, innovation, just different skill sets that come into the business.
It opens up loads of conversations around inclusivity. And actually, since COVID-19's pandemic, have you seen a change in the demand for certain jobs as well? So kind of perhaps weren't as prominent to prior to the pandemic?
Yeah, there's been some sort of sectors that have boomed, so cleaning and facilities management, those sorts of roles, as we've needed to be cleaner, to fight off COVID. There are also the roles such as warehouse, logistics, healthcare, of course, lots and lots of sort of accelerating sectors as a result of the pandemic, but also lots of roles that we would never have seen without the pandemic. So, a temperature screener, that wasn't a job before the pandemic. I mean, it might have been somewhere, but not in the volume it is now. COVID testers, vaccinators, there are a whole host of new jobs, not to mention, digital platforms and, Zoom digital experts and, people like that, they were there, but not in the numbers they are now.
And actually thinking about that, when you're moving from into a different COVID world, the ability of being able to have that digital space is still really important.
Oh, absolutely. It's something that as a business, to us, having that digital space has meant that we have carried on, as close to business as usual as we've been able to, and we've been supporting people into work, as well as we have, outside of the remote world. It's been fantastic.
Thank you, Emma. And actually, Rob, you are an employer that's worked with CTEC Plus to recruit some of your staff members. What kind of support did they give you and with that?
Yeah, so they've been absolutely fantastic, to be fair. Since COVID hit, we've had such an increase in demand. Everyone needs additional cleaning, particularly schools, enhanced cleaning regimes that we just didn't have the staff ready to come and fill those. With CTEC Plus, my main contact is a lady called Julie Jasper. Whenever I have a need, short-term or long-term, before I even fire a job advert out to the public, I get in touch with Julie, and she will sort of sift through the pool of people looking for work, people in the local area, based on my needs. She'll then send me a range of those people, and then it doesn't just stop there. Even during the employment checks, when I've needed additional right to work paperwork or DBS paperwork or whatever, Julie and her team have been absolutely fantastic. And to be fair, we couldn't have got through it really, particularly the last few months, without them.
What value, so when you've recruited those staff members into those roles, what value of those staff members have you actually got from CTEC?
So I think depends on the role. So when they come into a permanent role, I've got a lady now who works on one of my sites, Carol, who'd been out of work for a long time. She got in touch via CTEC Plus, and the value she's brought to the school she works at is sort of immeasurable. She's been fantastic, and to watch her grow as a person, she had no knowledge of cleaning before she came to us, but actually she's learnt new skills. She's become a lot more sort of socially outward, if you like, and the school absolutely love her. So yeah, when it's people like that, it's a really satisfying thing to see.
That's incredible for that person, and obviously the story for everyone listening. And kind of, has the support from CTEC Plus made you think differently about how inclusive you are when you are going through that recruitment process?
Yeah, I think for me, well, for Churchill as a company, we're very inclusive anyway. We employ a diverse range of people across different sectors. But I think for me personally, it opens up avenues that maybe I wouldn't have explored before. We will make adjustments where needed to support people back into work, and sometimes it's things around, where people have been out of work for a long time or whatever. There's anxieties and stuff. So certainly for me, it's been a learning of how you support people through that, and actually leaning on Julie and her team for advice and, what makes this person tick? How do we get the best out of that person? I think it's been a win-win, really.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to ask, what do you think's the biggest challenge around, and you kind of touched on it with anxiety, so kind of back to Emma and yourself, what has been that challenge? What's been that support mechanism for people going back into employment?
I think from my point of view, it's normally just conversations. They like to, it's figuring out people's comfort zones of, how much support does this person need? Sometimes just them being part of a team and having that social outlet is all they require. Other times, they need a little bit more support and guidance. So it's just really, for me, making them feel comfortable to be able to do the best in their role.
Amazing.
And that does summarise really what we do collectively, which is great. But I think since the pandemic, it is really about confidence for people, anxiety absolutely around getting back into the workplace, and what that's going to look like with sort of COVID rules and that sort of thing. When people have been out of work for a while, and of course COVID has done that to a lot of people, it is just that step in the right direction that sometimes is really difficult. So by having really supportive employers, we know that we can really smooth that process for our participants, so that we can introduce them, and interviews are typically less formal, those sorts of things. It makes such a big difference, and those are the kind of processes really that people stumble at, interviews and first days and that sort of thing. So by working with inclusive employers, we really start to overcome some of those fears and help move as many people as we can.
And it's just a massive learning from over the last 18 months and support elements for everyone. Thank you so much, Emma and Rob. Back over to Nath to remind you how you can get involved with today's show.